like that, that's ninja skill. Here's our status for the day. It's gonna pour down rain this afternoon, probably around noon. It is almost 9 o'clock, so I only got a few hours to fish. I thought I would come out and start at the bridge because I haven't been back here during the summer. I suspect that the fish kind of leave this little creek, and this is part of the, I guess, the East Cooper branch, but it goes on out, and then you have the mouth of Quimby. They probably go into deeper water, although, you know, they're 6 and 7 feet out here. Tidal fish, I mean, I think they're gonna stay kind of shallow, so we're just gonna test it today, see what's up. Get on. And right there is a really good spot. It's kind of a little bit of an undercut bank. It's just a little cut there. Current's going this way. It's gonna wash food in there, and then when the current's going this way, it'll be an eddy. Really ought to be something there if they're back here. The fish around this area, they're where they're supposed to be when you get them. You just don't, or at least I don't really get bit a lot. So I don't know what the population of fish is. We put our worm in some really good places and have not had a bite. So I think what we should do is go to a lighter weight worm and try that, because this sinks to the bottom quick, and sometimes they don't want that fast fall. So I got the old Charlie Brewer slider head with a power bait little curl tail worm. Now you might be asking, why am I not throwing a Senko? And I got a Senko tied up, and I will throw it in a minute. And just cover water faster with a weighted worm. And this thing falls about as slow as a Senko, so, and it kind of glides. It's got that little tail action. The other thing I've noticed about fish down here is they don't bite right up on the bank. They're on the breaks, they're on the edges of stuff, you know, unless it's like an undercut bank. And I'm sure at different times during the tidal movement they'll be up there, but if you watch my videos, I seem to get bites a little bit out. And I'm gonna cast way over there, and the current is going to bring it to that log in a natural way. I'm on the edge of it, I feel it right now. And nothing tapped it. So what that tells me is they're just not biting. There's a big population is not back here, because in the fall and the spring, I mean, you'll catch little ones and you'll catch a bunch of them like that. Don't have a whole lot of faith in the old wood pattern. We're not getting hit on slow moving stuff, and we're not getting hit on the toad. So let's see if we can irritate them with the frog. Did you see that? He came up after it. That gives us a good sign. There's a fish there, and guess what? Do you see it? The current's going this way. There's like a little log jam right there. Oh man, now that was one that was right up there. Daggone it. Why'd I set the hook? Well, shoot. I felt the movement. So this is a great example of where, you know, they should be. The current's coming this way. There's an eddy back there. Right here, the current's hitting. That's where they would be feeding. Let's see if this baby hits a Senko. I haven't had much luck with follow-up baits. I think I've caught 1 or 2 on it. But that was a great example of where they're supposed to be. Let's try it. Nah, let's try this first, because this has a bunch of noise. It's got weight. I can cast it good. I can walk it or pop it. It's got bluegill color. And boom. So this is my topwater, you know, everyday box. All right, now let's go to where I suspect they're going to be, which is right over here. If they weren't on this point, I mean, they got to be over there. came up and got it. There we go, and that's where he should have been. All right, let's get him off the lure and we'll talk about it. All right, so let's talk about this fish. He's a little fatty. He's eating up. I mean, it's a chunker. That's what you get when you're back here, right? So he's right where he's supposed to be in this eddy. All right, let me explain all this. Kissing. There we go. So over here, the current's coming out here. It's creating an eddy. And right over here is the slack water. And we talked about it, where if they're not on that point feeding, like right there, actively feeding, where the main current is, then they're probably over here in the slack water. And we had a couple misses on the frog. And the reason I changed over to a popper style bait was because of the treble hooks. So if they slash at it, you have the more possibility of getting it. Plus, they might like this profile better, who knows? That's where he should have been, and we figured out the right bait. You were in a tournament, or you weren't just playing around like I am, you would just hit the high percentage spots and go. I still feel like with the weather changing and the tide is getting lower and lower, more fish are moving up into a position of feeding. Now, that might sound like I know what I'm talking about, but that's just my assumption. I have no idea, but it just makes sense to me. Anyway, I'm not gonna waste time doing worms. I'm just gonna fish top water. We haven't got a bite on a worm. We've gotten blow-ups and fish on a top water bait. And water temperature is 82. That's where he was supposed to be. There we go. He's a decent fish. There we go. Whoa, 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 whoa. That was exactly what I was talking about. Decent fish, isn't it? You know, for back here, that's a decent fish. All right, I'll kiss him and let him go, and then we'll talk about it. All right. So there's the point, and I said that there was an eddy there, and it would continue up until this point right here. And he was in the shade. And this, I don't know if you can really see it or not, but there's like a little undercut bank on the right side of that tree, and it kind of gets out of the current there. It's exactly where he was supposed to be. And we triggered him. Now, we could have thrown a Cinco up there or a worm, and some days that might work. Most days it does. But today they haven't hit that worm. Plus, just to get footage for you guys, top water, hey, can't beat that. Let's get another one. Oh, did you see that? And he missed it and I jerked away. Why don't you throw a Cinco? Because the Cincos have not been hit. Well, we missed him, but he was right in the shade. So the pattern is the shade. Oh, did you see that? I don't know if you could see it or not, but I had one come right at it just as I jerked it to come across that grass. All right, if you look at this stretch coming up right here, you see how the bank is kind of tapered. This is a shallower bank. That seems to be maybe a deeper bank. I'm gonna take the toad and go along the grass edge here, and then I'm gonna take this bait and I'm gonna go along this edge here, because the toad will just be much more efficient. Oh, dang it. Why'd I pull it away? Why'd I pull it away? Daggone it. Right where he's supposed to be. Daggone it. And now would probably be a good time to be worming, taking this top water. Whoa, did you like that? That's ninja skill. Oh no, he's just tapping it. I mean, I don't know what that is. That could be a perch. Ooh, there he is. And it's a mudfish. We don't like him. Pliers. Come on back, tire yourself out. Ooh, that's not a bass. I didn't see. Yeah, it is. He didn't bite like a bass. And a decent one at that. Let's think about this. So the top water hadn't been working for a while. So that's a decent one. It's kind of beat up. Let me kiss him, put him back in the water, and we'll talk about it. So the tide's coming around this bank right here. That current's hitting this pretty good, and that's moving pretty good. I think you can see this. So he was probably behind something down there, and came out and got that worm. And when he got it, it was like a pike, choo-choo, and it shot off like lightning. That is why he was there. In a current break, obviously, but he was in the current, so it's different than like that slack water over there. Now we're gonna cast over there too and see if there's something, but we're gonna finish worming up this bank. Black worm today, because the curly tail didn't seem to be getting bites, and the black got us a bite almost right off the bat. You can fish this more thorough. Oh, oh. I ain't like that. I lassoed myself. Come around. He took the worm. There's another one. Let me anchor down. Well, that was definitely another bite. See it? He took the old wormo. I don't know if you could hear that or not, but when the talons went down, that wasn't silt. That was rock and hard earth. And that's always a good spot to be finding bass on a tidal water. Yeah, I've run out of June bug worms, trick worms. So I just go in past the barb to the bend, come out, turn it around, get it up over the knot so it doesn't grab as much grass, see where it would go in. And there we go. Go. Oh, that's on it. Where's that another redfish? That's a little one at that. Just ruin your stuff. Ooh, there we go. That was nice. That's why I use the old rusty hooks and the not so good stuff. Between the pike and the mudfish, whatever you guys call them down here, you'll go through some terminal tackle. Not going to jerk. Not going to jerk. Right there is where he should have been. Not going to jerk. Not going to jerk. Well, if you want to get bit, I guess you got to throw a worm right now. That makes sense. How many times you say that in bass fishing? It just don't make sense. Oh yeah, that's a pike. We need a bass. We need a bass. Daggone it. There's a baby. Didn't even know I had him. That is a good one. That is a good one. Yes, sirree. That's a good one. Boom. Hi. Oh, that's a pretty good one for back here. He was right there. Oops. Ouch. Hooks are sharp. There we go. Now, if you look where he was, around the edge, falls off a little deeper. The tide's coming back in. He's just sitting under there waiting for something to come by. And he smashed that buzz bait. That was beautiful. Mwah! That was worth the trip. So reading the water like that, I mean, there could be something over here, but if you can see that water moving, I mean, that's moving pretty good. They'd have to fight to be in that current. They can be tucked up underneath these weeds out of the current, and they hear something, they just kind of come by and investigate. We switched top waters. Throwing the buzz bait now instead of that popper. So far I caught a mudfish, a pike, little bass and a big bass. And changing lures like that, going from that bait to a toad to this, I mean, you just got to feel it. And with this front coming in, I just feel a buzz bait, and it's certainly been the trick for a little while anyway. Ooh, that was a, I want to say that was a pike. He was long and cylinder looking. Jumped right over it. I gotta catch up to him. Bam! Don't waste any time. Bring him in. You got it. Right along the edge. Right along the edge of that. Current's coming in. It's kind of a break here because it's going that way. Boom. Right where you're supposed to be. So I got a choice between this bank and that over there. And on the incoming tide, it just seems like they push up underneath here and then face into the river and see what's coming down. And I guess when it gets up to a certain point, I mean, they just keep going back and then rest. Get out of the sun, get in the dark. That's my guess. I don't know. When I get to heaven, hopefully I'll be able to interview a fish. Oh! There he is. Bam! He's in the boat. Thank you, Lord. There we go. Another decent one back here. I mean, it's a good sized bass for back here. Right where he's supposed to be. Right along that grass. Oh. Oh, he came back and got it. There we go. They're still there. I was starting to think that they moved on further back, and a percentage of them probably have. Oh, I should have had him a little longer, I think. That was I don't know what it was, but it was decent size. Took my bait. Ooh, get it. There we go. He came back and got it. Boom. This is the first time, came back and got it. And I stayed cool, calm, and collected. There we go.